Alright, what's up, booktube? It's Leah Cooper, and I'm doing kind of an off-the-cuff video that I've never done before, and that is the try a chapter tag video. I've always been really intimidated by this tag because you're supposed to take 5 books and read the first chapter of each book, like kind of implied in one sitting, more or less, and then use that to pick your next book you read. And I mentioned in my January TBR the next book I wanted to read was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I've taken off the dust jacket because I like to do that with hardcovers to keep the dust jackets nice. And I did start reading this. I'm about halfway through chapter 1, but I set it down and I didn't feel compelled. This was like literally half an hour ago, and I was like trying to compel myself to pick it back up again, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I mean, to be fair, I think some of that is that these books, I love them. Sometimes it can take like 100 pages to get really sucked into them. That happened with The Girl Who Played with Fire. It took 2 reading attempts to really get into it. And it's just like such a giant hardcover. It intimidates me, just like the physicalness of this book. But then I was thinking, I mean, maybe I'm just not in the mood for it. So why don't I try to challenge myself and do a different type of video that I've never done before. I'll do the try a chapter tag, and I'll try to pick a couple different things that are like very different from one another to see like what I'm in the mood for, because I'm not entirely sure what I'm in the mood for. I have some Girl Scout cookies. I have a cup of coffee. I have a glass of water. And technically I do have an afternoon off from work, so we'll see how long this takes me. That's the other reason I've never done this tag, is this like the time investment in a single afternoon setting just seemed difficult, but we're gonna try it. So I'm gonna start by finishing chapter 1 of The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. I'll be right back and give you my thoughts. Okay, so I think I'm going to try experimenting with a couple different ways that I do my reading in this video, and you can let me know as a viewer what you enjoyed. So that previous clip I think should be like a sped up little version. You can watch my hands flip the pages. I don't know if that's interesting or not. So I finished the first chapter of The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Like I said, I was already halfway through it. It still took me a solid like 10 minutes to finish reading, which is actually better than I thought. So my biggest fear with this book is it's really long, and like the page size is huge, and it's really a long book. I'm sucked in when I'm reading it. It's just difficult to pick up. So I'm not against reading this, but I do feel like it would take me a really long time to read it, and that just makes me hesitant to pick up any book. So obviously this picks up like immediately after the end of The Girl Who Played with Fire. Picks up immediately because at the end of that book, Mikhail is calling the police and for an ambulance, and then this picks up with the police arriving and the ambulance driving away, basically. And I mean, I've seen the Swedish language version movie of this book, so I roughly know the plot, though it's been a few years, so I don't remember all the details. So this is just all setting it up, and Larson likes to do a lot of like setting it up, police conversations, investigations, multi-threaded perspectives. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything to say so far because nothing's happened that I didn't already know was going to happen. So we'll see. I'm going to see if any of these others suck me in. So I guess the next thing I'll try to read will be the first chapter of Sense and Sensibility. I should probably check and see how long this first chapter is. Oh, actually it's really short. I'll read the first 2 chapters of Sense and Sensibility because that's 10 pages, and that's a little bit better place to start. This is going to be so long because this is one of those really like small font mass market paperbacks. I think the recording stopped like right as I hit the last couple of pages. So I read the first 2 chapters of Sense and Sensibility because they were so short. It was the first 10 pages of the book. I probably could have read like another chapter to, yeah, I really probably should have read chapter 3 too. But anyway, oh my god, I hate this little mass market paperback. The font is so tiny and cramped. Actually, and the worst thing is there is no gutter margin in the center. It's printed with the same margin on either side of the page, like this, which means there's no gutter, and so the words are just like right in the crack, making it so difficult to read the words because I don't want to break the spine, because then the pages would all fall out, because this is like an 80s copy. It's pretty old printing. Anyway, that aside, this is one of those Jane Austens that I thought the book was fine when I read it as a kid, though I did find it quite laborious to get through. And I've always thought that the movie by Emma Thompson was actually a little bit superior to the book because it was just a little bit more digestible. And it's one of those movies I think that is so brilliantly adapted from the source material and stays so true to the source material without being like 6 hours long. So I watched the movie pretty regularly, but I have not reread the book. And this is the last Austen I have to reread. Austen stuff that I want to do. That being said, the first 2 chapters are literally just the first like 3 to 5 minutes of the film. Pretty verbatim. So I don't really have anything to say about this. I would be fine reading this, to be honest. And it would be really nice to get this like marked off so that I could do, I want to say Jane Austen's birthday is in April. I need to double check that. So it'd be nice to get this read so that I could do all my Jane Austen stuff on time. I wouldn't be cramming it in. So yeah, I'm not against that. But I've like drunk all my coffee. Oh, last sip, groundsy and cold. Some weird little scrap of paper with scribbles was taped into this book, and it was taped in it long enough that there is, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of a discoloration where the tape was. So the next thing I have is Borrower of the Night by Elizabeth Peters. So this is the sequel to The Camelot Caper, which I read this month, and it's the first Vicky Bliss novel. The other one was like the prequel Vicky Bliss novel, and that one didn't have Vicky Bliss in it. It supposedly had some character in it who is from the Vicky Bliss stories, but I don't know the Vicky Bliss stories, so I don't know who that character was. It sort of just felt like a standalone, maybe in the same universe. So anyways, this is the first Vicky Bliss novel, and I had such fun reading The Camelot Caper, I figured I might want to continue and just like read the next one. So I'm gonna check and see how long the first chapter is, though, because the chapters in the Camelot Caper were really long, and I think that might be the format in this one too. Okay, so the first chapter of this book is 38 pages. It's like 10% of the book. I might just read, I think I'll read the first 20 pages of this. Camera battery is dying because that took a solid like 25 minutes. I read the first 25 pages of Borrower of the Night. It's not quite the first chapter, but it's to the first like scene break, and there's some objectionable stuff that I'm hoping gets subverted later on because Elizabeth Peters tends to do that. There's a little bit of a Not Like Other Girls with the protagonist, and the guy she's dealing with is kind of sexually harassing her. He's a coworker. She's a professor at a university. This was published in 1973. I should probably say that. He's definitely kind of sexually harassing her, and I really hope they aren't the romantic couple. I think I read that she falls in love. She has like an on again, off again relationship with someone with a different name. So yeah, I kind of hope that this guy gets stomped a little. So I'm intrigued. But I'm going to keep reading because I have 2 more books, but I need to take a break from reading because I've been reading for like a solid hour, and that's just a lot of reading. So 3 down, 2 to go. I'll be back later with my thoughts. I'm not going to film it, but yeah, I'll be back with my thoughts on Ancillary Justice later tonight after I've read the first chapter. Does this book have chapters? How long are they? Let me check. Oh yeah, the first chapter is only like 8 pages. Okay, so I'll be back later. And we're back. So I took a break, had some dinner, did some cleaning. Let's see. Probably turn this. You can see my bed is covered in stuff because I was cleaning out this dresser unit. There's bags of garbage, and I didn't exactly clean it out. Like, I sorted through everything that was in it because I'm going to be getting a bookcase and putting it in on this wall. I'm going to be moving my desk, which is behind me, and putting it on this wall so that hopefully I have a little bit of space, because at the moment I own too many books. I should have shown that too. Let me see. Okay, so like just piles of books and more piles of books. And there is no reasonable floor space left in my teeny little box. So yeah, I'm going to put up a bookcase, and I don't think it'll take up too much more space than it already does. My chair will be really cramped because like there's just not much space here for me to put a chair facing this way, but I can like barely squeeze it in, so I'm going to. Anyway, and I think that'll be nice. So anyways, and then after I finished all that, I did read the first chapter of Ancillary Justice. It was only like 9 pages. I also vacuumed out this copy of the book because it had a bunch of like, I don't know, crumbs and dust in it. Used books, man. So this is interesting, and this is one of the books I want to get read this year. I think this is like the most intriguing, but I don't know if I want to dive into it now or make this the first thing I read next month. But I'm definitely, after reading that first chapter, I'm a lot less afraid of this book. A lot more thinking I'll just enjoy it. The last book I was going to try a chapter out of is Before Mars. Unfortunately, my copy of that is a ARC copy, and the digital edition expired, so I can only read it on the Kindle app on my phone, because there's something about the Kindle app for Mac and PC that it does not let you read certain types of documents in there, and it's annoying as hell. That being said, I'm really excited to read this book because I really liked the last 2. I am not excited to read it on my phone, however, because I don't like reading on my phone. I have a little iPhone 5 and it's really small. So I'm actually kind of wondering if I shouldn't get this book from the library, maybe, or wait for it to come into the store. It's never come into the store. We get a lot of copies of the first 2, but not this one. Like, even now, thinking about reading this first chapter on this little tiny screen and having to read a whole, because I assume this is roughly the same length as the first 2 books, so around anywhere between 330, 360 pages on just this one screen, like, gives me a headache just thinking about it. But now I feel like it, so I'm like feeling like maybe I should pick a different book. I did read a chapter of Holy Sister today because I have that out from the library, and I've been debating whether or not I want to read it because I think it's going to be nominated for the BookTube Best of Awards, considering the first 2 books in the trilogy were. So I could read it ahead of time, but I really wanted to do a vlog about that whole experience. So, man, now I'm just really torn about what I should read. So many books. It's like, where do I even start? Because the other thing I could read, I haven't hauled this yet. I just purchased it this month, and it's going to be in my January book haul. But I also have a copy of Valor and Vanity by Mary Robinette Kowal, which is the 3rd book in her, whatever the series is called, Illusionists series? Glamorous Histories. Oh, is it the 4th book? I thought this was the 3rd book, but without a summer. Never mind. I think this is the 4th book because there's a book listed in the front that comes before this one. So never mind. I can't read this one yet. Shucks. I really thought I was going to be reading this soon. Okay. So if we count the one chapter of Holy Sister that I read, I did read it this morning because I thought Holy Sister was going to be the next book I was going to read, and then I was like, do I really want to read that right now? Because I really want to vlog my whole BookTube SFF Rewards reading experience. So if we count that as the 5th thing I've technically tried a chapter from, I read the first chapter in it. My comment on that is that it's going to be a fine read to stick into. I just don't know if I want to read it right now. I think this would be the fastest read. And I am intrigued about this because I did just finish another Vicky Bliss novel. And I think this is the thing I should read. But I don't know if I really want to. And I think this is the thing I want to read. So like how I don't feel any more enlightened about what I should read. I will say I don't think I'm in the mood for this. This is too big. This is too much. Too serious for me at the moment. Do I go with Ancillary Justice? How do people do this tag and then choose if like all of the books seem fine? Easiest, should, kind of want to. Like what? How do you pick? If I knew I could get enough votes, I would totally put up a poll, but I don't think I'd get enough responses to really like have a clear winner. So I feel like I just gotta choose, right? My boyfriend, if I presented this to him, would assign these numbers and then do a random number generator and assign a book. He might even like do multiple random number generators and have some complex little way of picking. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'm gonna go message him and see how he would approach picking these. He'll totally do it some random way, but I'm gonna go find out. Okay, so we're back, and I presented the challenge to my boyfriend. I gave him the 4 titles. Holy Sister, because I'm just gonna count that one since I did read the first chapter today. Borrower of the Night, Ancillary Justice, and Sense and Sensibility. And I thought he was going to do like some like number generator thing where he like would narrow down the books. But he decided to take the page numbers and divide the number of pages by the star rating from Goodreads. And shockingly, Holy Sister had the lowest points per page, even though I think it has one of the higher star ratings. Then it was Sense and Sensibility had like 3 points more. Like Holy Sister came in at like 80 points and change. Sense and Sensibility was like 83 points and change. Borrow of the Night was 83 points and change. And then Ancillary Justice came in at 90 points and change. So Ancillary Justice is my boyfriend's pick from my choose the chapter tag. I've completely bungled what I think the spirit of this tag is supposed to be, but I read these 4 books. They were all fine. The only one I definitively ruled out was ironically the book that's on my January TBR, the book I picked up to read next today, but also the book that inspired me doing this tag because I just really wasn't feeling this book. So this is the only one I actually ruled out myself. The rest of the books were all just kind of like fine. I could see myself reading any of them. I'm going to read all of them at some point. But Ancillary Justice wins. Was not on my TBR. Whoops. Actually I have mixed feelings about Before Mars because I really, really want to read it, but presenting myself with a challenge to sit down and read that first chapter all in one go really confirmed that I want to get it in a different format so that I'm not reading it on my phone. I don't have good eyesight, and I don't have a problem reading digitally, but I can't read on that teeny tiny little screen. It drives me nuts. So, okay, that's my try a chapter tag of sorts, and we'll see how this goes. I'm actually pretty excited. Like I said, reading the first chapter of this really soothed any anxieties I had about this. I think I'm going to enjoy it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.